What is up, guys? Ranger64 here, back for my second episode of Will It Drift. And you can see that I am in for another very awkward vehicle. This is actually what I had in mind when I first started doing this, because it's just such a big, clunky, awkward vehicle. So, my build, obviously, just kind of like the last one, just max effectively everything out. This one we actually do have tire options though, and I knew I was going to be grip limited, so I went with the drift tire compound. It doesn't have the most grip when you're trying to race or drag race, whatever, but when your tires are spinning, they have the most grip, and that's what I was going for. So got that. The rear tire width though, however, I kept narrow. I honestly don't know that it's going to make that big of a difference, and I didn't want to get too carried away with it though. So I just wanted to throw on the drift tire compound. It's going to make the big difference. That'll get me close. And then I can come back to this later if we need to. But for right now, I'm actually going to run with the small ones. And then I always like to look good while I do it. So I was wanting to do these. But these add a little bit of weight, so I'm going to avoid that. And this, I really like the look of this, but it adds a ton of weight. So unfortunately, I think this is going to be hard enough as is, so I went ahead and went full try hard, kept all the cool looking stuff off of it, and basically just maxed out as best we could. So let's go. Alrighty, I don't feel like driving back and forth to the festival, so I'll just tell you here. One thing I forgot to mention in the upgrades that is a very important detail that I just kind of skipped over is that I do have the rally suspension on. There is no drift suspension for this vehicle. The only upgrade is rally, which is not the best, but it does have more wheel angle than the factory suspension does. So aside from the tires, that was kind of the major upgrade, other than, of course, the generic horsepower and whatnot. Alright, so obviously, since we're going full try hard here, I've got the 1750 horsepower motor. I believe comes out of the Funko F9 drag thing, whatever you want to call that thing. So this is a very heavy vehicle, but it does have a lot of power. On the flip side of that though, it's got a very steep torque curve, so a lot of the power and torque doesn't come until you're on the top end. So you actually have to keep it pretty well revved up. So that's a challenge I've noticed in other cars where I've used the same engine, whatnot, so it is something to keep in mind. So here's what I got for the tune right now. Just a little bit of driving. I've noticed I actually have a little more grip than I had anticipated, so I actually bumped up the pressure quite a bit in the rear. Being a rear-wheel drive vehicle, the front's pretty irrelevant, so 44, whatever, just cranked it a ways. Gearing, I had to keep it fairly short. Gotta have enough torque to keep the tires going, especially with all this weight on it. Alignment, I don't even know if I messed with this. Actually, it was yesterday that I first started messing with this, so alignment, I believe this is stock. If not, I might have turned it down just a little bit. One thing I did with the toe is positive toe in the rear just a little bit. It helps the rear step out. Sometimes if you have a vehicle that doesn't want to take angle, if you give it just a little bit of a positive toe, it'll help it step out a little bit. A little bit goes a long way. 3 is actually pretty extreme. In Horizon 4, I had a vehicle, one of my drift adventure vehicles, where I was having a hard time. I went from 0 to 0.1, and that was all it needed. It was more than enough. Very stiff in the rear with the roll bars, anti-roll bars, to help it step out again. Springs. Well, I had it set up to put as much weight to the rear as I could, but now that I think about it, that may not be the best idea. Let's crank it up just a little bit. Dampening doesn't really matter all that much. Aero, brake, diff, pretty much all stock. So, let's give it a shot. I feel a little more comfortable in this one, so hopefully we can do this in only 1 or 2 attempts here. So, let's go. This vehicle does not hold a lot of angle either, but it is fairly controllable at angle, so much easier vehicle to drive. Oh, wrong gear. So like I said, it does not have a lot of low end torque. You got to keep it revved up. I shifted just a little bit too soon there, and it just stopped. This is a very big vehicle to keep on the road, so that back there, the little switchback, I like to try and bounce from one side of the road to the other. With such a large vehicle, there's really not a lot of bouncing going on. It was really largely just keeping it in the center, so kind of weird driving something this big. Oh man, we are very well on pace here. This is my little marker curve, whatever we need to be. Preferably at 800, if not, then close to it, and we were right at it there, so. Not out of the dark yet, but we're having a pretty good first try that we're on pace. Oh, can we get it first try? We absolutely can. I'm actually kind of surprised I did it in the first try. This is a very big vehicle, but it was surprisingly easy to control. Well, I guess will it drift? The answer is yes. That was pretty straightforward. I will see you guys in the next episode.